Hello. I'm calling this evening because I was offended earlier today by you, secretary receptionist. I was treated badly. I didn't have my recorder going, but I do now. I don't know if Stan Cox happened to be in the office or who, but after you got back on the phone with me, after putting me on hold, you basically told me that I should try to find someone in this area, to try to get some help from someone not so expensive. Why didn't you just blurt out that I'm too poor and dumb and raggedy to try to help? That hurt my feelings. Then I got angry because not only did you tell me to get someone here, but that was misinformation due to the fact that it needs to be dealt with in the place of origin, and that's there, not here. So I'm not sure just what game you're playing up there. I don't know why you just didn't let me call the other number like I said I do after telling me Stan is no longer a representative. I'd forgotten. I'm old. I'm 55. But instead you kept me on the phone, digging for info, plying me for more. My husband was convicted and sent away on a false confession, no prior, but as a repeat offender, and I think I deserve to know why. When I got the case filed in '97, after the State Defender's Office called me and asked me if I wanted them, telling me that the case had been closed, I went and got them. And I found nothing indicating that anyone even bothered with the rules of confession. Whatever he said needed verified and validated. He was under the care of several doctors at the time and probably felt pressure from the interrogation on his heart. He was on nitroglycerin and had been hospitalized twice. I would love to know how many so-called rapists rape someone while on nitroglycerin like John was. And if that's what happens, then why didn't he need extra pills during those times? The extra usage would have certainly set off red flags of suspicion at the VA if he had had to get more tabs than what were prescribed. He's been diagnosed now with prisoner of war syndrome, thanks to the ignorance there in Sedalia and Pettis County. How did he end up sentenced as a repeat offender with no priors? That question is burning on my mind. My dad and I went to try to find a case on him from '85 when the supposed incident occurred that led to the repeat offender sentence, and were told they couldn't find anything. My belief now is that one of the persons behind all this mess was retaliating because John made a report on her that he just told me of recently, and she had an FBI investigation going on about her. Denise Woolry. It all began to add up because I learned her son had been busted for cocaine. She had been our social worker, and everything we did was wrong in her eyes. She said my house was dirty. My mother had to go to bat for me on that one to correct her. My house most certainly was not dirty. Nothing substantiated of the calls that my stepdaughter made on me. And those calls only began after the fall of '93, at the start of the school year, where she was new to town and new to public school. She had been homeschooled at a commune. I couldn't get along with her. John was on so much medicine he slept all the time. Well, most of the time. And the burden was on me. So when I felt like I couldn't deal anymore and I was going to snap, I called the SPD and asked them to come make a little visit to talk to my stepdaughter. She sat there and looked them square in the eyes and had not one thing to say about some mad and crazy 2,100 times rapist. Then her calls and reports to her mom began on me, because I called the police on her. That girl is a sexual deviant. I read her mother's letter in that file. Believe me, it's not John Myers who's the deviant. It's her. Don't say I didn't try to warn you. John and his son and his daughter, all three converted to Baptist with me. They were RLDS, or one of the splinter groups off, maybe LDS, or whatever that church up there is in Sedalia. They were away from that. They were away from that crazy child bride bunch. So I'm not really sure who the Al-Qaeda and ISIS is, because in my eyes, it's family services. She didn't even fight the ones who took her off to Marshall to get an exam when they had her go back home. With no wire. She waltzed right in the front door like any other afternoon. They took her up there so some stranger could touch her privates, of course. Don't you know anything? Now I want you to Google something, okay? Since you're so fond of telling somebody to Google something. I would like you to Google Jank, Jank, and I would like you to Google niggardly, Niggardly, niggardly. That's what I think of, y'all. Thanks for listening.